So you guys are probably wondering what happened with the trike build. As you can tell in the thumbnail, I finished building it. I was on a test ride and things started to sound a little funky going on behind me in the motor. I was riding around a little bit longer. Sounds kind of went in and out. I just thought maybe it was because the chain was rubbing against the bracket. So I was on my way home, and the electric starter that I had installed had some really bad hardware, and while I was riding, one of the bolts backed itself off and the other one sheared off, completely locking up the motor. And I went from 42 miles an hour on my way home to completely trashing the build. So I removed the electric starter, sent it back, left a pretty negative review on Amazon. Needless to say, I was pretty hurt and a little banged up, but not too bad, just a few bruises and pretty sore, and couldn't really move well the next day. And making this video to explain what my plans are for the future and to show you what I'm going to be working on next and kind of making it my own. So that being said, let's take a look at what happened to this poor machine. So like I said, I took off the electric starter. That's the bolt that sheared off, and you can kind of see where it dug into that right there and locked it up. I don't have the battery in here anymore. I have everything hooked up in here. I have a few odds and ends that are stored in here at the moment, but that's where the battery was originally kept. It was well insulated and watertight, so kind of bummed out that didn't work. This whole seat came off, which is kind of what it was designed to do. So I'm not entirely concerned about that. I'll get to that missing in a second. This thing was completely flipped over upside down, scratched the top of this. Almost sheared that off completely. I didn't even realize what happened with that. I did turn over the motor after removing the electric starter, so it does still run. Luckily, the sound I was hearing, I think, was just that loose bolt shaking around until it caught. But what I ended up doing back here is I used the existing sprocket that was on the scooter and welded it on to that shaft right there that was part of the trike, and left this bit connected right there, just because I figured that would have been the easiest way to get the most amount of power and speed out of it. And I was right, because like I said, I ended up going 42 miles an hour without doing anything to a stock Predator. Didn't even take off the governor, and was still hitting that high of a speed. Well, when I wrecked, I thought my welds had failed, but I just hit the ground so hard and moved so fast while holding the handlebars that I ripped the metal clean off the bracket I had built to hold it all together. And so you can see where the metal just completely just tore away right there. But I'm pretty glad that my welds held, and we'll get better at welding as this goes along. I did buy a welder. It's not a welder with gas. Excuse my neighbor's dog in the background, but that's why there's not going to be any videos with this anytime soon. But let me show you guys what I picked up and what I plan on doing with it. And before I do that, I am thinking about adding on a second axle to this and making it a four-wheel drive. It's not a trike anymore. I don't know exactly what to call it. If you guys have any ideas on what to name that project in the future, then drop a comment down below and we'll go from there. But let me show you what I picked up and what I plan on doing. So this is a 2012 SSR Motorsports Laser 5. Don't be concerned if you don't know the name brand. I didn't know it either until I picked it up. This was originally listed for $1,300. I ended up getting it for $700. The lady was super nice and understanding that I work on projects and what I was buying would inevitably become my daily driver. And so this is meant to mimic a 1972 Honda Trail 90. It's very similar in size and shape, but definitely lacks in the power. I have a single speed, well, technically two different speeds, but I can only use one at a time since I have to shift it by hand, and it's kind of annoying. So I have a low end and a high end, but nothing I can easily shift into. My plans on what to do with this in the future is to add a foot lever so I can easily switch back and forth between low and high gear, and that's pretty much it. This is a 50cc motor with pedals, meaning I don't have to worry about insurance or registration due to the fact that it's technically a motorized bicycle with a few extra goodies. Headlight works. These blinkers are going to be replaced. There's an LED headlight on Amazon I'm thinking about replacing this with. That'll have the blinkers included, including the high and the low. So I'm looking forward to switching that up. I have, let's see, I forget if that's the front or rear brake, but got brakes. The gas tank is this lovely thing built into the frame. So I originally swapped out this gas cap because this one has seen better days. But when I swapped out the gas cap, the bike wasn't running because I wasn't getting any vacuum. So I decided to keep that one on until I can find something a little bit better. But my plans with this, other than adding on a shifting cable down at the bottom to make this really scream Rigs and Stranded, or really scream something that I would build, is turn it into kind of a rat rod, or leave it with a vintage look and make it more vintage by adding on a few different things here and there. But we'll see as time goes. I need a name for this project, and if you guys have any ideas on what I should do with this, then we'll go from there. So kind of bummed out that this episode didn't go the way that I had wanted it to. I wanted to have this episode be me riding the trike. Unfortunately, while I was building it and while I was riding it, it was really hot in Salt Lake, Utah. And my phone just turned off because it was so hot, and it didn't save any of the video files from that. So kind of bummed out by that, but I guess it also worked out because I don't have to filter through a bunch of footage to try to stitch together a video that would just end with me absolutely eating it. But I'm okay, not going anywhere, still plan on building stuff and making weird creations because that's just what we do. And that being said, thank you for watching, and look forward to having you guys join me while I rebuild and build other things. So let's get to it.